Hello students, welcome back to the session of electric charges and fields. Topics to be covered in this session are methods of charging. In the methods of charging, again there are three kinds of charging. Those are friction method, conduction method and induction method. The next one is basic properties of charge and some of the problems, numerical problems related to properties of charge. So let's start our discussion by the first method of charging, that is frictional method. As we know, friction means the collision between two bodies. So here what is the meaning of friction? A body can be charged by friction by rubbing it with a suitable material. And this method is basically used for insulator. This method is only suitable for insulator. And if you want to charge any insulator, only the friction method can be used for insulators. Is it clear? As we have discussed in the previous classes, when the glass rod was rubbed with a silk cloth, glass rod was acquiring the positive charge and the silk cloth was acquiring negative charge. So those two were acquiring the charges by the friction. Is it clear? To make you understand clearly, I will show you an animation so that it will be clear to you. Now you can see we have used here two neutral bodies, which are rag and PVC pipe. Those bodies, when they are rubbed each other, what happens? The negatively charged from this rag material will go to the pipe, and hence the pipe will become negatively charged body and the rag will become positively charged body. So two insulators can be charged only by using the method of friction. And one more thing, why we have to use the friction method for the insulators and why other methods are not useful for this? As the charges are not free to move here and those will not distribute over the body, we cannot use the another methods such as conduction and induction methods for the insulators. So next method of charging is conduction method. Here, what do you mean by conduction or method of charging by conduction? So let us know what is that. A body can be charged by keeping it in a contact with a charged body. So to make you understand the conduction properly, I'll take an example of a water beaker. Let me consider this is a water beaker. So this is a water beaker and this beaker is beaker A and this beaker is beaker B. I'm considering here that beaker A is completely filled and the beaker B is empty. So now I want to make the beaker B to be filled by water. Okay, if I want to make the beaker B to be filled with the water, I have to connect it from beaker A to beaker B. I can connect it from beaker A to beaker B. I'll just give you a connection between beaker A and beaker B. I have connected now. So as beaker A and beaker B are connected through a pipe now, the water can move easily from body A to body B. Beaker A to beaker B. Until when the water will flow from beaker A to beaker B? The water will flow from beaker A to beaker B until both beaker A and beaker B will attain same level of water. So when the both beaker A and beaker B will attain same amount of water, then the flowing of water from beaker A to beaker B will stop. Is it clear? Similarly, if I consider a one body which is uncharged body, here uncharged body in the sense the number of positive charges will be equal to the number of negative charges. So let me consider this body is A and here there are two charges which are equal and opposite. I want to make this body as charged now. Charge in the sense it should have majority charge carriers of any one among positive and negative charge. To make it charged, what I will do, I will bring one more body of let me consider this body is of negatively charged body. So when I bring this negatively charged body in contact, now what I will make? I will make in contact with body A. So when I make in contact with the body A, whatever the amount of charges were there in this rod, those will be transferred to the body A as it is in contact. Is it clear? The charges will flow from the rod which I have brought contact to the body A, and those charges will be transferred to the body A. Is it clear? When it is transferred, and then this body A will become completely charged body. Is it clear? I hope you have understood the conduction process. So basically, what is conduction? Charging the body by keeping it in contact with a charged body. Is it clear? So this is about conduction. Next we are going to study about very important for your PU board, that is induction. Then what do you mean by induction? Induction means when a charged body is placed near an uncharged body, here you have to underline this word. When a charged body is placed near an uncharged body or uncharged conductor, it acquires opposite charge on the nearer surface of the conductor and equal amount of charges of same polarity on the farther surface of the conductor. If the process of induction is also only used for conducting materials. To make you understand clearly, so let me explain using examples. Here I have considered two metallic spheres. Those are metallic spheres A and metallic spheres B. Now let us see the explanation. Consider two insulated metallic spheres A and B supported on an insulating stand and held in contact. You have to understand clearly. Let us learn step by step and easily. Okay, now so here we have considered two metallic spheres A and B, and these two metallic spheres A and B are placed on insulating stand. So this is insulating stand which is of blue color. Okay, and this is completely what? Insulating stand. And here why we are using the metallic spheres on insulating stand? Because as the metallic materials has the capacity of distributing the charges over it, if I don't use the insulating materials and the charges will be distributed everywhere, then there will be no charging. So to make the body completely charging and to avoid the distribution of charges to the earth, we will use insulating stand, which may be wood, plastic or anything. Is it clear? I hope you have understood this step. And one thing you have to note here, that two metallic spheres are in contact. Okay, the second step is when a negatively charged rod brought near A, electrons in the metal are repelled as far as possible and situates at the other end of the metallic sphere B. Here we are going to bring one more charged body, and here this charged body is negatively charged body. Here what kind of charged body we are taking? Here we are taking negatively charged body. So this is negatively charged body we are considering. Is it clear? As we are considering the negatively charged body, just we are bringing this negatively charged body near to the metallic sphere A. One thing you have to keep in the mind, that before we are bringing the charged body near to metallic sphere A, the both metallic sphere A and B were uncharged. I mean neutral bodies. Okay, so when you bring the charged body near to the body A, and as I told you, this body is completely negatively charged body, what happens to the body A? According to the law of charges, like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. As the like charges repel each other, in the body A, whatever the amount of negative charges were present, those will be repelled by this charged body. The negative charges will be repelled by the charged body, and those charges will be going to situate at farther side of charged body. So if this is a charged body, to the farthest point of that body, at the end of the B, the negative charges will situate here. Okay, so when the negative charges are going from body A to body B, those places will become vacant, and to that we call it as deficiency of electrons, or electrons deficiency, or to that place what we call it as defect. Since the negatively charged particles transfer to the end of the body B, the another end of this body A will become completely positively charged. As we know, the unlike charges attract each other. This glass rod is having negative charge and this body A is completely positive charge. By that force of attraction, these will be held together but without contact. Is it clear? I hope you have understood this point. Because of this, body A is completely positively charged and body B is completely negatively charged. When the charged body and uncharged body gets in equilibrium position, what we do? That we will see in the next step. So after getting in equilibrium, here you can see the point. If A and B are separated by a small distance while the charged rod is still held near the sphere A, the two spheres carry opposite charge. When to make the two bodies completely charged individually, what we are going to do? We are going to separate the two bodies. Here we have separated. If you observe the previous picture, there was no separation. And now if you see, there is a separation. But here, the same charged rod was kept as it was near to A. Okay. By keeping it as it is, we are separating the two charged bodies. Okay, now body A will be completely positive charged and the body B will be completely negatively charged. After this, when you remove the charged body which was here previously, okay, so in the previous image if you see now, here is a charged body which we brought. Now in the next image it is not there, so charged body is removed now, and after removing we are increasing the distance between these two metallic spheres. The distance is increased. As we have increased the distance, the metallic sphere A was having the positive charge and metallic sphere B was having the negative charge. And those positive charge and negative charges will be completely distributed over the surface. So if you see here, the metallic sphere A is completely distributed by the positive charge and metallic B is completely distributed by negative charges. So if I ask you what is the charge of body A, you will tell me this is positively charged body, and what is this body B? Definitely you will tell me this body B is negatively charged. By this, what we have done? We have made body A as a charged body and also body B as a charged body with respect to positive and negative charges. Is it clear? I hope you have understood. See, two metallic spheres are in contact now. Now we are bringing the negatively charged body near to A so that the positive charge is situated at one end A and the negative charge at the other end. Now we are making the separation between the two metallic spheres, and these negatively charged particles will distribute over the metallic sphere B. As you remove the charged body, the positive charge also will be distributed over the metallic sphere A. So by this you can understand very easily how the method of conduction is going to be done, and hence the metallic sphere A will be completely charged by positive charges and metallic sphere B will be completely charged by negative charges. Is it clear? I hope the method is clear to you. But one thing you have to keep in the mind that again the method of induction is only used for conducting materials but not for the insulators. So conduction and induction methods are mainly used for conducting materials. Is it clear? So now let's learn the next topic, that is properties of charge. So before going to learn the properties of charge, one should know that what is the symbol of charge. The symbol of charge is small q. I mean the small charge is denoted by small q. And if the total charge or large amount of charge will be denoted by capital Q. And what is the SI unit of charge? SI unit of charge is coulomb. In detail about the unit of charge we will discuss in the coming classes. Let's go to the properties. So what are the properties? The first property of a charge is additive. By the name itself indicates add. Add means what? Addition of all the things whichever is present. Similarly, the additivity of charge says that the total charge of the system is the algebraic sum of, which is very important, algebraic sum of all the charges present anywhere on the system. So if you consider here one system, in this system many charges are there. Let me take it as charge is Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on up to there are n number of charges. There are n number of charges and these n number of charges are present in a system. And then according to the additive property of a charge, the total charge on a system, as I told you, the total charge is denoted by the symbol capital Q. The total charge on a system is equal to sum of all the charges. As I had given here, there are n number of charges. I am going to denote it by Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q4 plus so on up to Qn. Is it clear? So whatever the number of charges will be present, those number of charges you have to make it sum. That is charge is additive. Only by remembering the formula also you can define the statement, as Q is capital charge is equal to symbol gives you the meaning of is and the number of charges. So the total charge of the system is the algebraic sum of all the charges present anywhere on the system. So in the all corner of the system, whatever the amount of charges are present, that will be added. But one thing you have to remember, that when you are adding, you should use a proper sign, as there are two different charges. Positive charge is denoted by plus and negative charge is denoted by minus. Is it clear? So when you are adding, you should use a proper symbol. Let's see the example so that it will be clear to you. One example, what is the total charge on a body if it contains 4 charges plus 2 coulomb minus 3 coulomb plus 4 coulomb and minus 5 coulomb. So you have to calculate here what is the total charge. So to calculate the total charge, we have already seen what is the formula, that is Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 so on up to Qn. So before solving the problem, let's write the given data clearly. So Q1 is plus 2 coulomb. See, I have written with the signs. Q2 minus 3 coulomb, Q3 plus 4 coulomb and Q4 minus 5 coulomb, which is denoted by with its unit and signs. According to the formula, we know that Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q4. Then what is the value of Q1? Q1 is plus 2 coulomb. Q2 is minus 3 coulomb. Q3 is plus 4 coulomb. And Q4 is minus 5 coulomb. We will use with the bracket so that there will be no confusion of signs. Next, let's add the positive charges first. Plus 2 coulomb plus 4 coulomb is plus 6 coulomb and minus 3 coulomb minus 5 coulomb is minus 8 coulomb. So if you add 6 coulomb and minus 8 coulomb, you will get the answer, that is Q is equal to minus 2 coulomb. So the total charge present on the body is minus 2 coulomb. Is it clear? So this is about charge is additive. The next topic, that is charge is conserved. What do you mean by the conservation of charge? The conservation of charge says that the total charge of an isolated system is always constant, which means that neither a charge can be created nor be destroyed. For example, to make you understand clearly, I will consider two neutral bodies which has 4 positive charges and 4 negative charges. Neutral means contains equal and opposite charges. In this body B also, it has 3 negative charges and 3 positive charges. So this is body B. and this will be the body A. So what is the total charge of a system? So we will consider, according to the conservation of a charge, total charge of an isolated system is always constant. We will not consider the individual body. We will consider here complete system. So in this complete system, when the neutral bodies are present, what is the total charge on the body? Plus 4 minus 4 of A is equal to 0. Minus 3 plus 3 of B is equal to 0, right? So when you do total charge, which will be A plus B as a system, we will consider two bodies. A plus B will be equal to 0. Okay, now B. Let us consider two electrons will transfer to body B from A. So as the two electrons are transferred from body A to body B, now let's see, this is body A. Now it is containing 4 positive charges and 2 negative charges, and body B contains same 3 positive charges. As the two electrons are transferred from body A to body B, now the electrons number in case of body B are 5 after the transformation. Now let us know what is the total charge of a system. The total charge of a system is A plus B. We have to add the two bodies as we are considering whole system. So body A contains 4 positive charges and 2 negative charges. So 4 minus 2 is 2, plus body B contains 3 positive charges and 5 negative charges. So 3 minus 5 is what? Minus 2. So what is 2 minus 2, which cancels each other, right? Then what is the total charge? The total charge is 0. Therefore, the total charge of the system before transferring is equal to the total charge of the system after transferring. Hence, the charge is conserved. So let's go to the next topic, that is charge is quantized. Then according to the statement, all free charges are integral multiple of a basic unit of charge, and that basic unit of a charge is noted by the symbol E, which is equal to minus 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. So this is the standard value of electronic charge. Okay, now the charge on a body is given by the equation Q is equal to plus or minus Ne, where N is a integral number which are 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and E is equal to, as I told you, 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb, and coulomb is the SI unit of charge. And you have to notice here, why we have considered integral multiple of a basic unit of charge. As the charges are not present in a system in the form of fraction, we take it as an integral multiple of a unit of charge. Just you consider, if you go to a shop, you will ask a shopkeeper to give some amount of chocolates, like give me 2 chocolates or 3 chocolates. Or will you ask the shopkeeper to give half of the chocolate or 1/4 of the chocolate? No, right? You will not ask the shopkeeper to give in the fractional form. Similarly, the electrons in the system are not considered in the fractional form, so we will take it in an integral multiple of a basic unit of charge, which is Q is equal to plus or minus Ne. So to make you understand little more clearly, let us see here. So let us see here what happens. If you go to the shop and purchase a chocolate, if you purchase one chocolate, you will multiply the value of a chocolate with one chocolate, right? I mean, if the chocolate price is 5 rupees, one chocolate is multiplied by 5 and you will give him 5 rupees. If you purchase the 2 chocolates, the 2 chocolates are multiplied by the value of chocolate, that is 5, and you will give him 10 rupees. If you purchase 3 chocolates, again 3 chocolates are multiplied by the same value, that is 5. Similarly, if you multiply n chocolates, n chocolate will be multiplied with the value of chocolate, which is 5. Similarly, if a system contains one electron, the one electron is multiplied with the electronic value or electronic charge E. If there are 2 electrons are present, which is multiplied with again electronic value E. If there is a 3 charges, electrons are present, that is also multiplied with the electronic value E. Similarly, if there are n number of charges present, that n number of charges are multiplied with electronic value E, which gives you Ne. In case if there is a loss of electron, we will denote it with positive charge. If there are gain of electron, we will denote with minus symbol. Hence, the total charge of a system is equal to Q is equal to plus or minus Ne, and hence the charge is quantized. So all the free charges are integral multiple of this basic unit of charge, which is E. Is it clear? I hope you have understood. The charge is quantized. Based on this property, you may get some of the problems we will see in the next slides. The next property of the charge is like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. So like charges means positive charge will repel and positive negative charges will attract. So two same charges will repel each other and two unlike charges will attract each other. So this is about law of charge. Even you can write it as a property. So next property is charge is a scalar quantity. Then what do you mean by scalar quantity? According to the definition of scalar quantity, the quantity which has only magnitude but no direction, to that kind of quantity we call it as scalar quantity. Similarly, charge is a scalar quantity as charge is having only magnitude and it is not having any direction, as the electrons can move anywhere in a system. It can move anywhere in a system. It has no any particular direction, but it has a magnitude like 1 coulomb, 2 coulomb, or plus 1 coulomb, 2 coulomb, such values as it is having, it is known as a scalar quantity. Is it clear? So these are the properties of charges. This question may be asked for 2 or 3 marks. If the question is asked for 2 marks, you just write the points. Like first point is charge is additive, charge is conserved, charge is quantized, and one more you can even write charge is a scalar quantity. So actually for 2 marks you have to write 3 points. For a safer position you better write it 4 points. If they ask you for 3 marks to explain the charges, you have to explain the charges with the statements as I had given you in the previous slides. Is it clear? Okay, so this is about charges. So based on this, let us solve one problem. So here you have a problem. A polythene piece rubbed with wool is found to have a negative charge of 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. Sorry, it is having 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. And estimate the number of charges of electrons transferred. Is there any transfer of mass from wool to polythene? So let us consider here a polythene and this is rubbed with wool. So let me consider this is wool and this is polythene. So when the polythene is rubbed with the wool, according to the question, the wool is going to transfer some of the electrons to the polythene and the charge acquired by this polythene is 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. As it is negative charge, obviously the polythene will acquire electrons only. So estimate the number of electrons transferred. You have to calculate how many number of electrons transferred by the wool. And is there transfer of mass from wool to polythene? See, as the electrons are transferred, means whatever the body gains the electron, that body's mass is obviously going to be increased. And hence, there is a transfer of a mass from wool to polythene. Is there any transfer of mass from wool to polythene? Obviously, there is a transfer of a mass from wool to polythene. So, to calculate the number of electrons, we will solve a problem now. So, let's write the given data. As they had given a negative charge, we will write the given data as Q is equal to minus 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. So 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. And you have to calculate the value of n. Let us make it as n is equal to question mark. We know that Q is equal to plus or minus Ne. To calculate the n, we have the formula Q is equal to plus or minus Ne. So let us use this formula and substitute the value. Q they had given, which is minus 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. Okay, and n is written as it is, as they have not given the value of n and we need to calculate. And E value, we know that standard value, which is 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. Let's keep this n as it is and bring this 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb to the denominator of 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb. So when you bring it to the denominator, what happens? It will become, so this is 3 into 10 to the power of minus 7 coulomb divided by 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulomb. So when you divide this, you will get the answer. N is equal to 1.875 into 10 to the power of 12. And as it is minus, negative symbol indicates that is gain of electrons. So I have written here in bracket as a electron. So what are the total number of electrons transferred from wool to polythene? That is 1.875 into 10 to the power of 12 electrons. Is it clear? I hope you have understood this problem, and please solve the same kinds of problem by taking assignment. Okay, thank you.